To each and every one of you, I say good evening from beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah. What a great summer evening it is here in Utah. And I see that we've got people in the house from all over the world. I saw Australia in the house. New Zealand is in the house. Central and South America are here with us. I see members from Asia. What an honor it is to welcome all of you to this very exciting next episode of Valimenta ByDzyne. But tonight is a special privilege for us because we're going to get to hear the tremendous perspective from a naturopathic doctor and all of the perspectives that he's going to bring to us about these Valimenta products, the greatness of the liposomal delivery system. And Dr. Alan Miller, it's a real pleasure for us to welcome you to the call. And it's going to be my honor to give you a formal introduction to the members of our ByDzyne family, or as we sometimes, in fact, quite often say, the BD Nation. So we welcome you to have an official role tonight. As you can see on this information that is in front of you, I will highlight some of this information. You can see that Dr. Miller is the Vice President of Scientific and Regulatory Affairs at Valimenta Labs. He has a long and distinguished career, 26 years in length, that he's been involved in product formulation, development, clinical study design, and implementation, and on top of all that, lecturing around the world, both to ordinary people like all of us, as well as to health professionals. He has a distinguished publishing career with 26 peer-reviewed papers, 2 chapters in the textbook of natural medicine. He also was the senior editor of the Alternative Medicine Review for 16 years. Dr. Miller is a graduate in naturopathic medicine with a naturopathic doctorate degree from the prestigious Bastyr University. He practiced naturopathic family medicine for more than 10 years. He's also developed an online database on drug, botanical, and nutrient interactions. He was the chief editor of the book Alternative Medicine Review Monographs. Dr. Miller, it's a great privilege that you have now become part of the Valimenta and ByDzyne family. We're looking forward to hearing the information that you will share with us tonight, and it's my honor to now give the microphone directly to you.
Thank you very much for that introduction, Dave. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I have lectured just about all around the world. I saw a couple people pop in, like you said, from Australia and from New Zealand. Those are 2 of the places that I love to go, and I've lectured in both of those places. I miss it. It's been a few years since I've been there. Welcome everybody. I'm glad to be part of the family here and be able to present and hopefully impart a little bit of new information for you. These types of things are for people who are already have some experience. Sometimes you'll hear 1 or 2 things that really make you understand things a little bit better. For those of you who are new, I think you'll still be able to understand pretty much everything I'm presenting. And my computer is giving me a little note here saying that my connection is unstable. Hopefully I won't lock up on you guys. So I'm going to share my screen here and we'll get going. Should be able to see it. Yes. Somebody?
Yes, we're seeing it now.
All right. Thank you so much. Just need to get the slideshow going here. And we'll be able to get going. Okay, here we go. Shannon asked me if I would talk a little bit about bioavailability as well as the cell gate technology and Valimenta and the liposomal technology that we use. First, let's talk about bioavailability and why that's important. There we go. Bioavailability is the ability of the body to absorb nutrients and botanicals that you take in, and then to utilize those elements within our cells. And that sounds pretty basic, but there are a number of roadblocks really that we can run into that make it difficult to absorb nutrients and utilize those nutrients. And if you don't absorb them and utilize them, well, waste of money, they're a waste of effort, and they can't help you. So we want to make sure that whatever we're taking supplementally, we want to make sure that
Hi, Dr. Miller.
and-
We lost you for a little bit. Maybe if you turn
Oh,
off your
gosh.
camera, it will be a little clearer.
I can do that. Yeah, I
Perfect.
hope.
No
Let's see if
problem.
I can do that. And let's see. Do I have to stop sharing screen first is my question.
I can maybe help you with this.
Stop video, got it. Okay,
Perfect.
hopefully that helps. So like I was saying, it's not what you consume, it's what you absorb from what you consume. And then you incorporate whatever you absorb into every cell of your body. So really that old adage of, you are what you eat is really you become what you eat. And that doesn't mean that you're going to turn into a ham sandwich. It just means that every nutrient that you bring into your body is going to be incorporated into every cell of your body. So we want to make sure that we fuel ourselves in a way that is going to be taking good nutrients and making the maximum bioavailability so that we can utilize those nutrients. Well, how do we ensure that maximum bioavailability? That's through liposomes. And I've been around the industry for a while. It's 26 plus years now. And I've seen a lot of different technology crop up and a lot of different ways of trying to increase the absorption of different nutrients. And what I've seen is liposomes are absolutely the most effective in doing that. So what are liposomes? They are tiny bubbles. They're tiny bubbles of what are called phospholipids. Phospholipids are a fat that has, basically a fat that has a phosphorus group on it. So it has some phosphorus at one end and it's got fat on the other end. And it's a real simple basic molecule, but those types of fats, those special fats, those phospholipids, can surround and protect nutrients, or those nutrients can embed themselves into the phospholipid. And those phospholipids are, this is the really important part, they are preferentially absorbed by the body. Since every cell membrane that we have is made up of phospholipids, our body sees phospholipids from food that we take in and says, I want that. So when we take an oral dose or an oral amount of any phospholipid, your body absorbs most of that. It's like 85 or 90% of that you take in gets absorbed. Well, if we have little nutrients and botanicals that are embedded or protected inside this phospholipid layer, inside this bubble, those things get protected and they get to be sort of the payload. When we absorb phospholipid, we absorb what's inside too. So that's the payload. And the properties of phospholipids, besides just better absorption, are that they protect that payload from stomach acid. So whatever's inside those little bubbles can't be acted upon by stomach acid and can't be degraded by stomach acid. So they also significantly increase the absorption of many nutrients and botanicals because of how they're designed and the fact that the body really likes them. And you can see the graphic on the right here. It's showing hydrophilic vitamins on the inside. Hydrophilic means they like water. They're water soluble. So that's on the inside of the bubble. Hydrophobic vitamins, the type of vitamins or nutrients that are fat soluble, tend to embed themselves. You can see the little red dots. They sort of embed themselves into the phospholipids. So they're not really inside the bubble. They're sort of inside the shell of the bubble. And they also get protected and get absorbed along with the phospholipid. Let me give you some examples here of how this liposome increases the absorption of a nutrient. This is vitamin C. Now, you might think, why do we care about vitamin C? Vitamin C gets absorbed. It's water soluble. It gets absorbed really well. The body likes it. The body needs it. So you should absorb it well. Yes, but there is a limit to the amount of vitamin C that you can absorb in a single dose. It's about 250 milligrams, maybe. And anything over that, your body doesn't absorb. It passes through your intestines. And if you take a few grams of vitamin C, and probably a lot of people have experienced this, if you take enough vitamin C, you don't absorb most of it, and it goes cruising through your intestines, and it draws water into your intestines, and then you get gas, bloating, and diarrhea. So with the lipoform of vitamin C, we can absorb it and not have those problems. Now, the graph on the left, what you'll see here, let me see, do I have, yeah, oh, no, we don't. Okay, the graph on the left, the green line you'll see there is the normal vitamin C. And you get a certain blood level with that regular crystalline vitamin C because you will absorb some of it. But what you see there is the liposomal vitamin C. You get far more of it absorbed, and you don't have any problems with the gut and with any digestive complaints. Here's another study that was done looking at, it's a test called the ischemia reperfusion test. This is a test in which you are blocking blood flow for a few minutes. The way they do that in this test is they put a blood pressure cuff. You know, when you get a blood pressure cuff put on your upper arm and they pump it up, it gets to a point where it's pretty uncomfortable. And when it gets to the point where it's pretty uncomfortable is when it's shutting off those arteries in your upper arm. So you're not getting blood flow down into your hand. Well, when you take that blood pressure cuff and you let it off, you get this rush of blood into your hand. In doing that, there's a phenomenon called ischemia reperfusion injury. And what it does is it causes, when you get this no blood supply and then a rush of blood, you can actually cause some damage. It's called oxidative stress. And everybody probably has heard that term, oxidative stress or free radicals. It's just oxygen that, normally oxygen gets delivered to the tissues and it performs its job, great. But if you have oxygen that has sort of been altered or damaged, which happens in this ischemia reperfusion test, then you can damage tissue. So what this is showing us here is a placebo given before this test shows that the oxidative stress goes way up. Now, vitamin C, liposomal vitamin C given before this ischemia reperfusion test, not only didn't do what would normally occur, which is a lot of oxidative stress, it dampened that oxidative stress. It got absorbed and it prevented this oxidative stress from happening. So that really shows you that the vitamin C is getting absorbed and you're getting a nice, hefty supply of it in your bloodstream. Now let's take a look at green tea, liposomal green tea. Showed you before the hydrophilic vitamins, right? The hydrophilic nutrients tend to want to hang out in the middle of the bubble. And that's what we're seeing here. The green tea, most of what's in green tea is water soluble. So those elements end up going to the center of this little bubble. And that little bubble with the phospholipids, the phosphatidylcholine and essential fatty acids, gets that green tea much more absorbed. Now, what they gave in the study was 400 milligrams a day of a standard green tea extract or liposomal green tea. And what they found was, you can see the lower graph here, the lower line shows, yeah, you got a little bit of it absorbed. And then that secondary bubble, the secondary bump is another bit of it that comes out of the liver after the first pass of absorption. You can see the green line above showing a much more greater level of these green tea elements called catechins. So you have a 12 times higher blood level of the green tea catechins and a 10 times higher blood level of the specific green tea catechin called EGCG. And that's the one that has the highest antioxidant activity of all of these different chemicals, different elements, compounds that are in green tea. It's really the most important green tea catechin. So this shows us that doing the liposomal green tea gives us, even though again, like vitamin C, it's pretty much water soluble and it gets absorbed pretty well, while we get far greater amounts in the blood. We've also done a study on liposomal hemp absorption. And the chart to the left shows clinical results comparing standard material, standard hemp, and liposomes, sort of traditional liposomes, and then Valimenta's cell gate technology liposomes. And we like to compare these because the traditional liposomes are using a different technology than we're using. Dr. Blair, who started Valimenta Labs, came up with new technology when he was a graduate student, getting his PhD in chemistry. And he has refined that over the years. And you can see in the graphic on the left that the standard hemp material, gosh, you get a little bit of it absorbed. The traditional liposome, yeah, it does improve that absorption from the standard material. Then you see the cell gate technology just blows it out of the water. You get so much better absorption that you don't have to, the great thing about that is you don't have to take as much of that active when you've got something that drives absorption as hard as the liposomal technology does. Now, that study that I just talked about was in the American Journal of Endocannabinoid Medicine, so that's a published study. There's also a safety study that was done on liposomal delivery for hemp. This one was done, it's a small study, 10 healthy individuals. I always like to put air quotes around healthy. Okay, excuse me. But 10 healthy individuals, and they were given 10 milligrams of CBD from hemp oil for 30 days. And what they found, besides the much greater absorption of the CBD from the hemp, was there were no adverse events. So that's the safety part of it. And we have to look at this. You know, anytime we're looking at any sort of supplementation, we want to make sure it's safe. We want to make sure, first and foremost, that we're doing no harm. So this showed no adverse events, no problems with safety, and no adverse changes in blood lab work as well. And what they saw on this were there were no changes in liver function. There was no negative impact on the liver, and there was no negative impact on kidney function as well. So both of those were looked at. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about glutathione. Now, glutathione is the most abundant antioxidant in the body. It is in every cell, tissue, and organ, and it protects us from free radicals, kind of like vitamin C does. It's one of those antioxidants in our cells that protects us from damage. Vitamin C, zinc, selenium, all of those, vitamin E, vitamin A, all of those have some antioxidant capability, and all of them work with each other to help recycle each other. So one of them gets damaged basically, or gets used up by free radical oxygen, and the other ones can recycle it. And then glutathione is the one that's the key, it's the most important of all of those. And like I said, it's in every cell in our body. We have to have it or we don't do very well. Just case in point, occasionally people take an overdose of Tylenol or acetaminophen, or you folks from other countries besides the US, paracetamol. Taking an overdose of that drug saps your body. It depletes your body of glutathione. That's how it kills you. You end up going into liver failure, organ failure, and you pass on. So glutathione, that tells you how important glutathione is. If you wipe it out from your liver, you're not going to do well. Glutathione is composed of 3 amino acids. So amino acids are typically protein building blocks. That's what proteins are made of, is long chains of amino acids. And this is a very short chain of amino acids. It's 3 amino acids long. It's cysteine, glutamine, and glycine. Unfortunately, if we're living in an area that has some pollution of any sort, any kind of environmental toxins, that can sap our glutathione. When you age, your glutathione levels usually drop, and your body's ability to protect against the damages of free radicals, unfortunately, decreases. So we need to make sure we have enough glutathione on board so that we can counteract these free radicals. And there's a whole, there's a train. I hope you guys don't hear that, but I can hear it, so you probably do. As we age, there's this whole theory, free radical oxidative damage sort of theory of aging. And so glutathione is one of those things that prevents that from happening a bit and helps us to not age cellularly as quickly. However, here's the big however, is glutathione is not well absorbed and it can be taken apart by stomach acid. So stomach acid can easily break the bonds between the cysteine, the glutamine, and the glycine. And then your body can absorb those amino acids separately, but then you have to reassemble them as glutathione. So you can't just utilize those 3 as glutathione, they have to be reassembled. So if you can protect those 3 amino acids from stomach acid with a liposome, then they get absorbed. And we've got data that shows that it gets absorbed much better in the liposome form. And this is just showing you on the left what glutathione looks like and how it gets oxidized and then reduced, they call it, when it gets recycled back to usable form. There's our blood glutathione levels. And this was interesting. This was a study that we did showing 2.5 grams of glutathione as the liposome versus 4.1 grams of glutathione as the standard glutathione. So what you're seeing here is not just, wow, this is absorbed far better, but this is absorbed better, and we gave a much smaller amount here with 2.5 grams instead of 4.1. So you can see this is a time versus amount curve here. So this is showing that it got absorbed very quickly, and it stayed at high levels for many, many hours after dosing. And that's what you want. Now, I was saying that if you're in any kind of an environment where you've got any toxins in that environment, glutathione is required for phase 2 and phase 3 liver detoxification. Again, like I was saying with paracetamol or acetaminophen, it's sitting there in the liver and it's doing its job, and it's doing its job as quickly as it can, and take either of those drugs, and it gets depleted after a little while. Finally, in the US, we got FDA finally put a black box warning on that drug, saying that you probably shouldn't take this if you drink at all, if you have any alcoholic beverages. Of course, most people don't read that, or they throw that little piece away, and it doesn't get to the people that need to understand that, need to know it. I have always told friends, family, patients, anybody that'll listen, to not have that particular drug in your house because of its effect on glutathione. So glutathione in phase 2 detoxification in the liver, glutathione attaches to substances that need to be detoxified and eliminated, and it grabs onto them and takes them, basically grabs onto them, takes them out through the bile into the intestines and out of the body. So it protects and supports that liver detox function by being there. It also just functions as an antioxidant in the liver, so we need to make sure that we have enough of it there. So I hope I've shown you that bioavailability is vital. It's very, very important to make sure that we have a large enough amount of these things absorbed. And that goes for regular vitamins, minerals, botanicals. They can all be difficult to absorb, or they can be damaged by stomach acid, and some of them can cause gastrointestinal symptoms. Two things that I didn't mention, I should probably mention here. Magnesium, same thing with magnesium, is that it can cause gastrointestinal symptoms because you can't absorb it well enough. Liposomal doesn't cause you that at all. We also did a study on B12 that I didn't mention, but we've got that study as a white paper right now. And B12 also can be greatly better absorbed by putting it in liposomal form. So that Cellgate next generation liposomal delivery is very, very important to making sure that these things get absorbed. It increases absorption, it reduces that gastrointestinal discomfort, and it protects nutrients from being damaged or inactivated by stomach acid. I think that's all I've got for you. I'm going to turn my video back on here, stop sharing. There we go. Maybe I can get the video to work again. There we go. Hey, if anybody has any questions and you want to pose them, I'm happy to listen. And I don't know if you have to go through your moderator. This is a little bit new to me here, so.
No, the easiest way to, and thank you very much, Dr. Miller, for this little question and answer period. If any of you have questions, just write them out in the chat area, and then Dr. Miller, you'll be able to see them and respond accordingly without having to go through me particularly.
So he says, let me click on the chat and see if I can see that. Ah, there we go. All right. Breaking up sometimes. Yes, I know. Long story, but yeah, the internet connection was not as good as it could have been. Let's see, right at the bottom here.
I think one of the questions,
oh, there we go.
Dr. Miller, was
yeah.
if you can go back and clarify the alcohol and glutathione comment you made, as it was breaking up a little bit.
Okay. You know, alcohol has to be detoxified in the liver. Glutathione can help with that. What I was saying with alcohol is if you take alcohol along with Tylenol, acetaminophen, paracetamol, that's a bad combination because that can really damage the liver. It can deplete the glutathione that's in your liver and then end up damaging your liver. Most people don't know that, or they never read that information. Let's see if we've got something else here.
We had a question, can an older person who has lots of medication take liposomal or maybe glutathione? I'm not sure which one.
Oh yeah, there we go. I don't have I don't have a problem with people taking glutathione at all, even if they're taking a bunch of medications. It's not going to inactivate those medications. I think it's quite safe to take.
Okay, awesome. How easy is it to convince the...
I see that one.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, how easy is it to convince the tablet takers? As I have a family of tablet taking vitamin people. You know, I think it's really easy to convince the tablet takers, the capsule takers. I worked for another company for many years, and we did capsules and a few powders. And people end up getting tablet and capsule fatigue, basically. If you start taking a few supplements, you kind of get tired of swallowing these things every day. I think that the liquid form is so much easier to take. Some people just will put it in a very small amount of water or juice or something like that and just shoot it, you know, like a shot. I have other people like myself that I'm at a pretty good altitude here in Denver, and it is dry here. It's very low humidity. So I want to make sure that I'm hydrated. So I put all of my stuff into a pretty large water bottle, and then I just sip on that for an hour or two. I think it's pretty easy to get people to understand that. And then they understand that it tastes good. This isn't awful, icky stuff. It tastes good and it works, and they'll start feeling it. Let's see. PubMed had many studies on vitamin C and B12, and then glutathione studies went way up. True, yes, glutathione has been pretty well researched over the last few years. Can someone with severe type 1 diabetes and stage 1 kidney disease take glutathione? I would say they need to talk with their doctor. I wouldn't just off the cuff recommend that they take it or not take it. Kidney function issues, still safe to take? Yes. Let's see. Oh, okay. Well, this is a good question. Will the absorption be higher if you swish it in your mouth before swallowing? Maybe. That's what I have to say to that, is maybe. There isn't really good data on sublingual absorption of much. There are a few things that you can get absorbed a little bit better if you swish it around in your mouth first. That's really up to the person if they want to do that. It's not. I put about 8 of them together all in one drink, and it tastes good. And
Sorry, we lost you for a second.
Yeah, I saw that. It said I was
You want to answer that question again?
Stable. So yes, you can put a lot. You can put a bunch of different Cellgate products in one drink. Yes, it's really simple. And let's see. Is there a test available to check your glutathione levels? Not really. Unfortunately, there aren't many sort of standard lab tests that you can do for that. Yeah, good question, Joe. Given the graph that it is effective over a 6-hour period, would it be better to take single dropper 6 hours apart to spread the efficacy over a greater period of time? I would recommend that people take things twice a day. Most of your supplements, you can take them twice a day because of that, because they're good for a number of hours, and then the blood levels start tapering off a bit. So you can certainly do that. Can they be taken in a hot beverage? Yes, you can. Yeah, the question about breast cancer and chemotherapy, just my particular opinion on that is load up on all your supplementation before you do chemotherapy and not take anything during chemotherapy. And then afterwards, do everything you can to help repair and support the body's normal tissues and to help healing as well. Someone with cadmium poisoning, ooh, gosh. One of the things that was seen in that glutathione study that I didn't put on the screen is that one of the things that glutathione has cysteine that's in glutathione has sulfur in it. It has a sulfur atom in there, and that elements like heavy metals. So what I didn't show you is that people, their liver function was better, their kidney function was better, and they looked at the amount of mercury in the body too, and it went down while they were taking the glutathione. So I'm not going to make a claim that it cures heavy metal poisoning, no, but it's really interesting that that can happen, and it makes sense. Just physiologically, it makes sense. Let's see. Oh, somebody asked about lead poisoning from teeth fillings. Actually, let me correct you on that. There is no lead in fillings in your teeth. It's mercury that you have to worry about there. And I pretty much answered that already. What is the best time to consume glutathione? Right after a meal or before a meal? Take it. That's what I always tell people. When you get into that kind of minutia, should I take it on an empty stomach? Should I take it before or after? Just take it. Whatever is comfortable for you with a meal, before a meal, after a meal, great. It might be absorbed a little bit better if you take it before the meal. Can you dose up like we did with precursors? I'm not sure what that one means. Sorry, Ainsley. let me see. Maybe it was the one up above here. Yeah, I'm still not certain what that means. Oh, can you take more than the recommended dose? There's always somebody that asks that question. If some is good, is more better? I know people that take more than we say that you should take. It tends to not be a problem, and the worst I think that you are going to experience is maybe some gastrointestinal upset or some gas. And let's see here. Can it be added to hot water or tea? Certainly. Yeah. Not seeing any more questions. They're slowing down there, so.
Well, Dr. Miller, thank you very much. To keep reading these questions, but your information has been phenomenally beneficial and helpful to each one of us. Let me just ask a clarifying question. In your formal presentation, the studies that you referred to, do we assume correctly that they are available at cellgate.com for those of our brand ambassadors that would like to take a look at them in more detail, study them? Are they available at that website?
Some of them are. I just looked at it the other day to make sure of that. Some of them are, a couple of them are not, and I think we're just in the process of loading up that website so that those are available to people. So if you don't see them, if you don't see what you're looking for there, check back.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So for those of you brand ambassadors that you would like to take a look at some additional detailed information, don't hesitate to go to cellgate.com. For those of you who might not see the immediate spelling, that is CELLG and the number 8.com. And you'll be able to access a lot of information that will be probably even in more detail, Dr. Miller, than what you've been able to share in the last 30 minutes of this presentation. So, well, once again, we're deeply grateful for you, for your comments. We understand more about bioavailability now. We understand more about the importance that it's really not what you eat, but it's what you absorb from what you eat. And we're definitely looking forward to the time in the future that you will be joining us again on yet another product training call, just exactly like what we've just been doing on Zoom and Facebook Live all around many different parts of the world. So to you, thank you very much for your preparation and for taking time to be with us tonight.
You are very welcome, Ben. Love to come back anytime.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And for the brand ambassadors, don't forget that in 19 minutes, we will be starting our next episode of Mind Movers. All of you can stay right there. And also, let me just mention one thing. As all of you know, our BD Nation represents many cultures, many countries all around the world. We always attempt to recognize major holidays for the countries that many of our brand ambassadors live in. And as you might know, next Monday is a big end of summer holiday here in the United States. It is Labor Day, and therefore we will not be having either product training or Mind Movers next Monday night, but we will be with you again 2 more weeks from tonight. Just a reminder for all of you.